Hello and welcome to the Pro Dota 2 National Cup here on hitbox.tv/ProDotaEN. This is going to be a best of three between Team Romania and Team Finland. Team Romania effectively are XBC Romania and Team Finland are effectively, Stark Esports. Yeah, sorry about that, but regardless, should be a pretty good matchup. I'd expect Finland to have quite the upper hand, and General Stark have been looking a lot better as of late. Excuse me, I need to clear my throat. Just woke up. Still have plenty of a day to cast some good Dota games, and hopefully these are some of them. But yeah, Stark have been looking a little bit better than Team Romania as of late, so we'll have to see how it plays into this matchup in particular. In the best of three, I definitely think XBC, or Team Romania rather, can put up a pretty potent fight, and we're going to see very standard bans in the first four slots. A lot of offlaner hate. Tusk Darkseer Doom being banned out by both of these teams, and then Team Finland will go ahead and ban out the IO. No big surprises, this is going to leave a lot of very scary mid laners in particular inside the pool for either of these teams to pick through. Team Finland are quite partial to grabbing themselves the Darkseer Tusk opener, but for now, since that is off the table, they're going to grab themselves a Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend is a pretty darn good hero, if I do say so myself, especially on the Radiant side, and I think this is a great way for them to start off their draft, and in general, they should be able to build around it nicely and protect it well. There are so many good defensive supports, Earthshaker, Winter Wyvern, Dazzle, all available for them to allow the Shadow Fiend to stay inside the fights as long as possible or protect him inside the laning phase. Any one of those three heroes would be a reasonable pick for Team Romania here. If they want to snag that, maybe plus something like a Night Stalker could be very interesting for them, unless Team Romania have something else in mind. They're going to take a lot of their reserve time and settle on an Undying for their first selection. Undying is very popular right now, and then follow up that Undying with the Queen of Pain, a nice aggressive duo coming out from Team Romania. Although they're not going to have super stellar lockdown, no stuns between them, a lot of teamfight control. Just with the Tombstone, the raw amount of burst Queen of Pain is able to pump out. When Undying drops the Tombstone, your first reaction should either be to run or focus down the tomb. And no matter which situation, Queen of Pain's pretty happy with it. If you're trying to run away, she has great chasing potential with the Blink, Scream, Sonic Wave. And if you try to focus it down, maybe you get a little clumped up with the rest of your teammates and set up beautifully for Queen of Pain's burst combo. Inside the team fights, although they don't have very great direct synergy, Queen of Pain and Undying should work pretty nicely for Team Romania. Especially considering the fact that Queen of Pain's lane against the Shadow Fiend is actually pretty good. It's not the best, of course. Queen of Pain isn't going to crush the Shadow Fiend, but the Shadow Fiend's probably not going to crush the Queen of Pain. Although I have seen this matchup go either way, it's a lot independent on individual skill and who goes aggressive. If the Queen of Pain blinks into the Shadow Fiend, takes two raises, very easily Shadow Fiend could take a kill. But on the flip side of the coin, if Shadow Fiend gets a little too over aggressive, sticks around on low HP after Shadow Strike spam, could end up getting bursted, especially at that level 6 mark. Really is such a big leap in power for the Queen of Pain compared to the Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend's level 6 means a lot less for him, although of course getting the maxed out Raise and then maxed out Necromastery as soon as possible is very useful. You're probably not going to be skilling Requiem until much later on. Now for Team Finland, to follow up the Shadow Fiend pick, they're going to snag themselves a Winter Wyvern. Although this isn't the greatest direct counter to the Undying Queen of Pain, it's a strong enough support that I think it's worthy to be picked up by their side. And Winter Wyvern in general, by OKSIA, has been pretty good as of late for Stark Esports and, well, for this Team Finland lineup. Next couple bans will come out. The first four heroes inside this game are not all too uncommon, and I don't think it's going to change the bans all that much. We're probably just going to see generally good heroes taken away. Earthshaker Winter Wyvern might be the presumed supporting duo coming out from Finstack. It would weaken up their lanes maybe a tad bit, just with the damage light nature of the Earthshaker and Winter Wyvern, but I still think they'd be able to handle Team Romania's laning stage, and just with the vast power of their mid-game teamfight with those two, I think it warrants the pickup and might even be considered as a ban for Team Romania. As far as the next couple picks for Team Romania are concerned, maybe they consider getting another offlaner to dual lane up with the Undying. A Night Stalker could be. A lot of aggressive potential for Team Romania and would have fit the bill, comboed up with that Undying, similarly to the Spirit Breaker that was just banned out by Team Finland. Team Romania will go ahead and take Gyrocopter off of the table. Even though he's not the greatest hero at directly killing off the Tombstone, he does mop up all of those zombies with the Flat Cannon, and in general is an amazing safe lane farmer to have on your side that is able to fight very actively early on. So it would have been a great pick for Team Finland, and I think it's a solid ban from Team Romania. Another one of those heroes that is just going to be generally good in most cases. Good early game, decent mid game, scales late. What more can you ask from your safe lane carry? Huskar will be the ban coming out from Finstack. Although Shadowfiend and Winter Wyvern in my eyes are reasonable at dealing with Huskar, they're far from the best, and Huskar is just one of those heroes that you never really want to play against, even if you think you have the greatest counters in the world. He might just snowball out of control to where your theoretical physical burst and dot damage doesn't bother Huskar at all because he is just so fat. I think it's a completely reasonable fourth ban. And Slider will be taken out by Team Romania. Now, Slider is a hero that we've been seeing a lot more as of late. A very popular choice for a lot of these teams, and synergizes nicely with the Minus Armor coming out from the Shadow Fiend. But Team Romania really hammering down on these aggressive heroes with a Jakiro now for their side. Of course, Jakiro is always going to offer a stun in the late game situation, but it's not nearly as impressive as Winter Wyvern's Curse. The real selling point for this dragon is the fact that you have liquid fire to push down towers early, and with just appropriate levels has a lot of follow-up damage if you're able to get to a good spot with those early tower pushes. Presumably going to be a support Jakiro, although we might see Team Romania shake things up a little bit and give Jakiro a bit of farm. No matter what they do, I like to see Jakiros get a good amount of experience priority inside the game, just so you're able to get that liquid fire maxed out as fast as possible, as Team Finland picked themselves up an Ancient Apparition. Now, this is an interesting mind game here. This could very easily be a deny pick, Ancient Apparition. It's already pretty good against Sustain coming up from the Undying, and in general, Team Romania grouping up will give this Ancient Apparition a little bit of space to split farm and get big Ice Blasts off. But it might make Team Romania consider picking up... you can't actually do that. Right now, the situation is for Team Romania, they might expect Finland to be picking up an Alchemist here, and there's not really much that they could do about it. If they pick up the Alchemist themselves, it's already super hard countered, not just by the Ancient Apparition, but the raw amount of burst damage from a Shadow Fiend will make it very difficult for Alchemist to function. This is an interesting pick for a couple of reasons, and then additionally to that Alchemist pick, maybe Finland aren't even interested in picking that up and instead want to go for a different sustained carry. Something like a Necrophos could also be pretty interesting for Team Finland. A mass amount of sustain combined with the cold embrace of the Winter Wyvern and the constant death pulse spam would not be a bad choice by any means. Or maybe they just go for a more Team Finland specific hero and snag themselves a Juggernaut. There's so many different options, and it looks like Team Romania will go ahead and pick up the Bane. Nice setup for the Jakiro. Probably means that the Undying's going to be their offlaner with the Jakiro Bane supporting duo, as Finstack instantly snagged the Clockwork. Now, what do Team Romania ban? I already kind of touched on three heroes that Ancient Apparition pick could have set up for Team Finland, but maybe they're not even interested in any of those, and it's just an Ancient Apparition for the sake of Ancient Apparition. It's going to set up a lot of global kills with the Clockwork and in the laning stage. At worst case scenario, even if they pick a pretty clunky melee safe lane farmer, it's 2 ranged heroes plus Chilling Touch and a couple of slows thrown in there with Icy Vortex and the Arctic Burn, which can be very annoying for even an Undying, a traditionally fairly strong offlaner, or difficult to zone out one at the very least. Oh, yeah, I quite like this Ancient Apparition pick, even though it's not going to super hard counter anything that's coming up from Team Romania. The big thing that I'm worried about for the side of Team Finland is the fact that they are fairly lackluster when it comes to their lockdown for this Queen of Pain. And that would have made this Wraith King pick a lot more attractive for them. Just any sort of safe lane farm with a stun would be really nice for Team Finland. Right now, of course, they do have the Winter's Curse, which is great at locking down the Queen of Pain. They have Clockwork's Hookshot Cogs, which are okay. But unless they commit a Winter's Curse, it's doubtful that they're going to be able to proc Cold Feet onto the Queen of Pain. She should be pretty free to move around inside these fights. Team Romania have a lot of aggressive potential. Once they get their ultimates up and running, Team Romania can go place to place and just look for kills all around this map. And what they're going to want to do is to shut down Shadow Fiend's farming space. So I think Team Finland do need to pick a safe lane carry that's at least able to contribute with very little. And probably, I would suggest shying away from something like an Anti-Mage or a Spectre, or anything that would scale that late. But ooh, we have a Timber Saw, and this is a really fun hero to see for Team Romania, especially considering this also bumps Jakiro into the safe lane farming role. Team Romania have gone for an incredibly aggressive strategy, and this is another way to abuse the fact that Team Finland were lacking in the stuns, but now with Shackles on the board, maybe Team Finland are going to be able to make up for that with just really well lined up Shackles coming out from Boogie. Looks like both of these teams brought their own flags, so I'll go ahead and turn those off in the overlay. And we'll get underway very shortly. It's hard to call who has a draft advantage because Team Romania have gone for such an unconventional draft, going for picks like the Jakiro and the Timber Saw that really aren't seen all that often. Timber Saw is quite good here, I want to say, although the burst damage coming out from like a couple raises from the Shadow Fiend and even the Chilling Touch is going to be annoying for the Timber to deal with. It feels like just that raw amount of damage will allow Team Romania to take a lot of fights, and it's pure damage too. Not something that Finstack are going to find it very easy to itemize against, although BKB on the Shadow Fiend and Wind Ranger is eventually going to come out. I'm not sure if it'll be there fast enough. Team Romania, if they're able to pick up the pace early and get a lot of kills, the crucial timing window for them is when Timbersaw hits about that level 8 mark. And they should just look to rotate around and find as many pickoffs as possible. Yeah, very interesting, very interesting. Team Romania, once they get those early levels, want to group up very much so and just try to barrel down these lanes. Team Finland, on the other hand, are going to be a little bit more focused on these smaller scale skirmishes where they set up with the clockwork, have an Ice Blast on top of maybe Wind Rangers there, maybe the Shadow Fiend's there, but for the most part going in gank squads of about 2 with the clockwork +1, then H Apparition helping them out globally. The Winter Wyvern, whoever the other carry is going to be, the Wind Ranger or the Shadow Fiend will be looking to hold down the fort and just keep these lanes pushed out as everybody else is looking for kills. By no means are Team Finland in a bad situation when it comes to these team fights. Like, they do have a lot of spells at their disposal. It can be very potent, but we'll go ahead and introduce our teams formally. On the Radiant side, Team Finland. Most of you will know them from Stark Esports. Nemphy's going to be playing the Shadow Fiend, Boogie on the Wind Ranger, OK Sia on the Ancient Apparition, it's going to be Valix on the Winter Wyvern, and Trixie on the Clockwork. For Team Romania on the dire side of the map, most of you will know them from XPC Romania. Synergy will be handling the Timber Saw, Massacre on the Farming Jakiro, Illusionist on the Undying, Razeban on the Bane, and Keanu on the Queen of Pain. I'm really interested to see how this farming Jakiro works out for them, or how they end up going for these lanes. It is not out of the question. A Team Romania go for an aggressive tri-lane and give Timbersaw safe lane farming space, which would be very good. Against the Clockwork, the lane Timbersaw versus Clock is actually a very interesting one, not one we see very often anymore since Timbersaw has fallen so heavily out of favor. It can go either way, maybe slightly Timbersaw favored. It's really hard for Clockwork to get the Timber kill unless he trades too aggressively under a maxed out battery assault. Team Romania is a big gank trainer going to bump into Boogie shortly. Can they quite get in range for the Nightmare? I think they might be able to, but it's going to be very deep. By the time this Nightmare lands, are they actually going to go for this? They haven't actually skilled anything up on the Undying, although I do see his Tombstone icon halfway glowing. It doesn't look like he's actually invested that point. They'll run away the Wind Ranger, and they're going to block out the large camp. This is going to deny away a lot of farm from the Shadow Fiend. Not a move we see very often, but those first couple of stacks are going to be taken away from them. The other ward is going to secure them vision of support rotations as well as this bottom rune area. Although this doesn't secure them first blood, I like Team Romania's aggressive move into the enemy woods to block down Shadow Fiend's camps. It's not something that happens too much, but I do like it when teams put this much priority at stopping a Shadow Fiend from farming, even if it isn't by directly ganking him. Bane, deep on enemy lines. Is he looking for a courier snipe, I wonder? The Shadow Fiend is going to be bringing out his bottle fairly soon, but this is a hard courier snipe to pull off without having a ward. Right now, if we take a look at Bane's vision, a small beam of light into the lane. He is so deep. He's going to inch forward. He needs to play things a little bit careful. If we take a look at Radiant Vision, maybe these creeps will spot eyes onto him. The Bane is inside the corner and is going to avoid detection. And now it's going to get back into the situation where he wants to spot the courier. Radiant have no idea. The Bane is still back here, and he has those beams of light that we saw earlier. Radiant still have no clue. We'll look at that Bane once the courier walks out. For now, let's take a look at these other lanes. The Clockwork and Timbersaw matchup that I was talking about a little bit earlier is going to be the matchup up towards top. The Cog's bounce back is going to be a nuisance for his Timbersaw, but having Whirling Death against the Clockwork can mean the Timbersaw can threaten the kill if he has mana for it, but right now it doesn't feel like that's the case. Another bounce back, and really this Clockwork is going to stop any ability for the Timbersaw to get the kill, but at the same time, oh no, that wasn't a bounce back, that was just a Whirling Death. Drops Trixie incredibly low, but he has the salve. Bane tries for that courier snipe, not going to happen. The Shadow Fiend was way too defensively postured, so we'll get that bottle out towards him. If I could, I'd just watch this top lane, but bottom lane also has a good amount of killing potential. Jakiro Undying as a dual lane by themselves are incredibly annoying. In fact, one of the most annoying dual lanes in Dota, I'd say, or at least it's pretty high up there. They're going to open up with a double decay on the Winter Wyvern. They're slowing down Lucius, however, and the Cold Feet is going to proc. They're focusing on the Winter Wyvern, who is only level 1. No ability to get out of here. Do they have the right-click damage? It looks like they do. One more right-click, salving up, is going to survive for a little while longer, but then Undying comes in with the decay to secure the kill. Liquid Fire will be thrown onto Boogie, but he has win run, so that's a very hard sell. 1-for-1 exchange. Slightly favoring Team Romania because they're the ones to get the first blood. Not the Undying, no less. I thought it would be a farming Jakiro, but it looks like the Undying might get a little bit more gold than the Jack down in this bottom lane. Top lane, the Clockwork and the Timbersaw trading blows. This time around, the Timbersaw's cut out with no mana. He isn't able to get out of here. With the battery assault ticking, he can't escape. He doesn't use his mango, so at the very least he's going to have that for when he comes back in, but I think Battery Assault would have cancelled Timber Chain. There's no way for him to get out of there, but ooh, deep behind enemy lines, they're chasing for Nymphy. Shadow Fiend turrets for a raise, but is going to go down, even with the regeneration rune inside his bottle. The Shadow Strike means he can't actually use that. 2 for 2 is the kill score. Oh, Clockwork getting that kill on the Timbersaw is great, but Shadow Fiend is suffering a little bit since he doesn't have the help from supports, which is something that very often we see in the mid lane nowadays when you pick up a Shadow Fiend. You'll want to put like your Winter Wyvern there to drop an Arctic Burn or two onto the Queen of Pain, and in general just secure the early souls. But now after dying one time, Shadow Fiend's only at 5 souls. He'll be able to get a couple of CS here and there with raises, and with the bottle running, can't sustain that quite liberally, but in general it's just not all that impressive. Illusionist, he is going for a neutral deny here. Nobody's going to be around the corner. He is going to successfully make his way back towards base. The Express route. Clockwork again, posting up on the synergy. He's getting a lot of battery assault here. Whirling Death. It's so interesting to watch these two trade blows, but because of that first death, Clockwork is going to come out on top. Trixie draws blood again onto synergy. And this lane in top is really not something that Timbersaw can come back to comfortably anymore. Down the bottom line, Massacre is going to take a lot of damage to the power shot, and the Chilling Touch is more than enough in order to get that kill. Nicely done. Team Finland are getting a good amount of momentum over a lot of these lanes, and it kind of feels like this bottom lane isn't working how Team Romania had envisioned it. The good news for Team Romania is the fact that this Queen of Pain is doing very nicely. Keanu has his bottle, boots, and most importantly, is going to get level 7 or 6 very shortly. He's trading against Trixie. There's a point-blank hook shot. He's going to come out on top with this Shadow trade. Keanu is going to die! Oh, that was so very close in the Shadow Strike. He's going to bottle up through that last tick, and he should be just fine. Trixie, what a player. Stealing the boundary and denying the level 6 from the Queen of Pain. She went so aggressively without having vision on the clock in order to go for that. If we take a look at Dire's vision, the words that they placed down earlier are the only ones that are there. But a haste-ridden bottom lane picked up by the Bane. He's going to make a move onto Valix. They drop the Tombstone onto the deck. They have a Nightmare. Are they going to be forced to use it here? Can they even find the angle? Winter Wyvern will fly over the trees and will be just fine. Close call for the Wyvern, but across the board, it feels like Finland are getting a lot of momentum. Queen of Pain, that silver lining I was talking about earlier for Team Romania, has now died once, and it does slow down your momentum so much, especially since the Shadow Fiend is only a couple of creeps behind when it comes to experience, and now has his own level 6. I kind of already talked about how his level 6 doesn't matter all that much, but once you get level 7, power farming for the Shadow Fiend is going to be an option for Team Finland, even though this ward is still going to remain in his large camp for quite some time. The other large camp hasn't been blocked, and even with just a couple of camps available, Shadow Fiend can still take a lot out of the map and make a lot out of nothing. Because the Clockwork was rotating around and was at that top rune and getting that Queen of Pain kill, Timbersaw has been left alone a little bit in this top lane and gets a good amount of farm. But this Clockwork has 2 levels on him, not by much, granted. He's very close to level 6, the Timbersaw. This is a level 7 Clockwork with maxed out battery assault, phase boots. Timbersaw cannot tango with this guy if he gets his mana burned. Mana burn's going to be there, and this is a very delicate situation for the Timber because Clockwork can very feasibly look to go for this kill. He won't for now. It's not something that they can do immediately, but if he gets a good rune here, maybe he can even kill off the Queen of Pain. Clockwork, an overlevel Clockwork, can do so much. He has a regeneration rune. At the very least, I think this means that Trixie's going to try to post up and at least burn a lot of his HP going for the Timbersaw. And stop Synergy from farming. Queen of Pain will get the other rune down towards bottom, but that bounty means a lot less. Although bottom lane, there are so many heroes down here, a tri-lane versus tri-lane, the killing potential from either side is reliant on the other getting over-aggressive. Clockwork's hookshot isn't going to land on the Timbersaw, so Timber is able to get out of there alive, if only just. He has the Arcane Boots now, so his sustain is a lot better, but in bottom lane, looks like they want to bump into OKC as well as onto Valix. They're going to focus down this Ancient Apparitions a little far out, but they have a Shackle Lashing Hunt of the Jakiro. Not long enough. They'll lose their Ancient Apparition, and now Masquerade Codes for Valix. Slowed down to a crawl. So many stacks of those zombies. Valix is going to get right-clicked to death with no points in the Cold Embrace, and now Queen of Pain joins the fray. Going for Boogie. They might be able to wipe this tri-line. That would be amazing. Sonic Wave, and they will. Team Romania have found themselves with a good amount of comeback from this bottom lane fight. Means so very much. Across the board, they're going to get a good amount of experience in gold. Queen of Pain, however, is leaving the Shadow Fiend free in the mid lane, who has caught up when it comes to CS and is not farming poorly by any means. They'll bring the Timbersaw here to repel the push, so the tower damage isn't there from the SF. But although that is a nice exchange for Team Romania, they need to keep that up and involve the Queen of Pain, I want to say, since she is sitting on level 8. Her burst combo is incredibly potent at this point inside the game. Team Romania have a lot of damage with the Timbersaw and with the Queen. But what they are kind of lacking is the long-range initiation that Finstack have with the Clockwork, or even with the Shackle to a lesser extent. I have no idea why Steam notifications are popping up. I swore I turned that off, and I will after this game, so apologies for that showing up. Yeah, they need to make sure that they just group up in a situation where they can punish Finstack and get on top of him. Just overwhelm them with numbers and their raw amount of damage. 5-5 is our kill score. Really the hero that I'd say we look out for to get the most momentum in this game is Trixie. This Clockwork is super over-leveled and super over-farmed. He's the top net worth of the game, and he's going to go for an Aghanim Scepter Rush. This is not a build you see very often on Clockworks, because you don't see Clockworks get this much free space, but with Phase Boots already running, I think it's just fine. He's setting up so many kills by himself, and is he really going to go for Keanu? I don't think so. Down towards bottom looks like that's the lane to have the action. Tombstone on the deck. Okay, C is going to be obliterated here. Timber's not going to chain through. Now go towards Valix. They'll get the Whirling Death, but the slow from the Chakram isn't going to apply. An Arctic Burn over the trees, and Valix will be just fine. Even has a little bit of avenue outside of those trees as soon as the enemies retract from that lane. Trixie is going to take a lot of damage from the Queen of Pain, but he should be just fine. If Queen of Pain commits for that Clockwork kill, Clockwork probably just turns and kills her off just the same. Team Romania with the kill momentum, but Team Finland with the CS advantage across the board. The Shadow Fiend's been left alone. The Shadow Fiend that has free space is going to get farm. It's almost just a guaranteed fact. They'll TP mid, however. Can they kill off Nymphy? Is fairly low on mana. We'll only have one raise to throw out here, but getting in range is very difficult. They won't even find the Nightmare. They're going to have to pull out as soon as he gets up that high ground, but down bottom lane. Masquerade's committing deep for this tier 1 tower. Is probably going to fall and will freeze as he's brought down by the Cold Feet. Now Illusion is trapped inside the cogs. Dominating spree for Trixie with that double damage rune. And they even secure the tower deny for themselves. When you have a Jakiro in such an aggressive lane, you expect to secure yourself that tower gold. It was only a matter of time before Team Romania have that consistent tick damage from the Liquid Fire in order to take down that tower. It's really good that Finland get the deny there, although under normal circumstances, a safe lane tower deny still will offer Team Romania map control. It's better than the expected outcome, which is Team Romania getting that tower kill very early on. In fact, 10 minutes in might even be a little bit late compared to what Team Romania were hoping for. 7-6 is our kill score, and Finstack should have a decent advantage here. Not a huge advantage, but an advantage nonetheless, in both experience and net worth. Clockwork, ooh, He's found himself a nice angle, and he wants to go in. Hook shot onto the Bane. Raceman's caught out under the tower. Battery Assault's going to take him low, but with the Brain Sap, Trixie needs to book it. He has the Haste Rune, and he's going to be able to do just that. Committing for this Clockwork's impossible because of Team Romania's lack of CC there after Bane has already used the Nightmare. They really need level 6 on this Bane, I want to say, before they can convincingly take fights. No points in Ice Path yet for the Jakiro. Is committed fully for the damage build, which I think is absolutely fine for Massacre, and is going to drop a Macro Pyre in mid to shove out the wave as quickly as possible. But it does come at the cost of Finstack just naturally being fairly elusive, the Wind Ranger and the Clockwork in particular, and the Shadow Fiend hardly is showing in lane. For the most part, Nemphy is accelerating his farm inside the woods. We saw that early ward placed down by Team Romania, and I really like it. It probably cost Nemphy a lot more gold than they spent on that Observer ward. Probably about 200 or so with the stacks that he might have been able to make. It's merely conjecture. The Shadow Fiend, even with that ward blocking the early stacks, doesn't really seem to matter at all because Team Romania haven't kept up the pressure on his woods, and he's been given a lot of space to farm up, and now is at the top of the net worth chart, and I don't think that comes as a surprise to anybody. The Timbersaw is getting a lot of space. This is a lot more farm than you'd expect from an off-lane Timbersaw. Even though he's died twice, he's gotten a lot of free time with the safe lane. But I think the Clockwork's contributing a lot more to the team up until this point. He is the setup for Team Finland. And he has been playing his role nicely. Team Finland are going to group up in top with 3 of their heroes. Ancient Apparition, I don't believe has level 6 yet, and isn't even that close to having that up and running. But once you have the Ice Blast, it's so easy for them to get kills. But down towards bottom, Timbersaw is going to think about going for this Ancient Apparition, who eventually might show. I think he has a reasonable idea that the rest of the team is rotating around, but Radiant do have vision around this corner, and I think they know Timbersaw is here. Ancient Apparition is going to ping it out, and I think Team Finland are going to look for an aggressive move up towards top. Timbersaw has a TP, can be involved inside this fight, and I do believe the Queen of Pain also can be ready to take an engagement here. So it looks like Team Finland are going to play things a little bit slower until Shadow Fiend shows up, who has himself his Mechanism, Aquila, Treads, everything he could really want at this point in the game finished for now. Nemphy is battle ready and is prepared to group up with the rest of the team, and Romania really aren't in that situation, even though the draft might suggest otherwise. They haven't gotten to the point where they're super comfortable taking fights, but now with the Fiend's grip on the Bane, maybe it is time for them to smoke and catch an aggressive play. This passive state of the game for Team Finland really is working out nicely for them. Even though Wind Ranger and Shadow Fiend by no means are the scariest late game scalers, they're very potent, especially when you take a look at Team Romania, who rely almost exclusively on the Queen of Pain for their scaling damage. Timbersaw does hardly anything against BKBs, and the DPS, the physical DPS from Team Romania is almost non-existent until Queen of Pain starts changing her build a little bit, maybe builds like an AC or something. But that usually isn't until much later on. And I think in general, Finstack are okay with just the passive state of the game, especially because their supports are incredible in the late game scenario. Ice Blast is great for contesting Roshan, for defending high ground, and Winter's Curse about the same, great in clumped up fights, and an incredibly potent late game initiating tool. Yeah, I think this slower state is really good for Team Finland, and Team Romania need to do something to shake that up, and it looks like they are going to send it a smoke and try to do just that. Get a kill with the Fiend's Grip, see if you can transition that into a big fight for your team. If you haven't committed all of your spells, maybe look for a tower push with this now maxed out Liquid Fire on Massacre. Dukiro's going to be calling out the courier as well. I think that's their completed mechanism, so it's a mech versus mech for either side. That is going to mitigate the impact of the Shadow Fiend's mechanism, not directly, but just because both teams have that burst heal. Hookshot going to be thrown, but absorbed by a creep. Trixie not able to find the angle on Massacre with the hook, but he's still inside the cogs. Battery Assault's going to work down this Jakiro. Ice Blast is huge, although it is going to get a little bit of the damage dodged by that Nightmare. Ooh, coming in, Sonic Wave over the top of the majority of the enemy team, but healing up Trixie with that mechanism, and they can't really fight anymore. Keanu's already blinked in. He has 3 points into it. It's going to come off cooldown in a second. Keanu has successfully gotten out to safety, and Team Finland will only get the Jakiro kill. They find a flare to land on Keanu, but without a hookshot, they can't go for anything further. Still, that was supposed to be Team Romania's play. They use the Fiend's Grip. They don't get anything for it, really. And now Finstack are the team that's able to group up and take down the tower. In trade for this, the Timbersaw is in the mid lane, picking up a lot of farm towards his Bloodstone. He's incredibly close to having that done, give or take about 800, 900 gold. Oh, Winter Wyvern gets blown up, Undying getting the kill. And now maybe they can stop this Wind Ranger and Shadow Fiend, or at least pick them off after the tower. They won't be able to stop them taking it out. Here comes the Timbersaw for the cutoff. Team Romania are going to bump into Boogie as well as an Emphy. They are going to get a decent amount of Chakram slow, but shackled to a tree, Synergy can't really chase anymore. They have one zombie apiece onto them, but they'll be taken down. The Ice Path missing means that they really can't chase any further. Hookshot has since come off of cooldown for Trixie. He used it very early on inside that fight, and is in fact only 1,000 gold till he has the Aghanim Scepter done. At that point, he could throw out those hook shots like candy. Just fish for him blindly. As long as you have the mana sustain with the bottle, he probably will have a good amount of that. 8-7 is our kill score, but Team Romania are the ones to spend a lot more. Hookshot almost laying a massive carry, but now with the Nightmare on a Trixie, they could be able to turn around, but an Ice Blast will fly, and they just don't have the appropriate follow-up damage because Team Romania have spent so many of their high cooldown ultimates. The Sonic Wave is down for still another 40 seconds, and granted, Fiend's Grip is going to be up soon, but when they were used inside the fight, it wasn't all that effective. So Team Romania put themselves on a cooldown, which will buy Team Finland a little bit more time to farm up, as the Shadow Fiend gets more and more ahead compared to his lane opponent, more than 2,000 gold in advantage, which for now is not invested by Nemphy, but eventually will be. And this Shadow Fiend, if he gets stacked, is going to be very hard for Team Romania to manage. Maybe go for a Sanjin Yashin to BKB, or maybe just a BKB. It depends on how aggressive Finland want to play. Smoked up in the bottom lane. The Fiend's Grip is up and running for the Bane. If he finds an angle, might be able to go onto this. He is going to think about dropping the Fiend's Grip, but thinks better of it. Boogie was coming around the corner, but here comes the Queen of Pain. She is going to posture aggressively. The Shackle doesn't latch, and she'll be able to blink out safely. Top lane, they're going to try to punish this dive. Cogs in with the Battery Assault. Illusionist is dropping low, and with the chain, or they will lose the Winter Wyvern in trade, but Trixie's on a mega kill spree. This is one of the fattest Clockworks I've seen in a long time. Trixie's had a great time of it, and really that 1v1 matchup versus the Timbersaw seems to be favoring the Clockwork a little bit more, and maybe I should have expected that. It's just not a matchup I've seen for a long time. But yeah, that Cogs bounce back burn as well as the first kill going his way really gives Clockwork a massive amount of momentum. If Timbersaw gets that first kill, then we're probably seeing a monster kill Timbersaw at this point. He has the Bloodstone. It's a very good timing. In fact, the win rate for Timbers to get their Bloodstones before 20 minutes is quite large. I think Finstack are so far ahead that this Bloodstone is going to mean less since they don't have another hero to set up reliable kills. If the Queen of Pain was something like the Wind Ranger and can drop a shackle to set for the damage of the Timbersaw, Team Romania would probably be a little bit better off. It feels like they're super hard invested in this nuke damage. And although that's not necessarily a bad thing, it is making this game a little bit more difficult than they'd like. 9-8. Team Romania have a lineup that wants to be ahead at this point, especially considering they have this Jakiro, who is getting a lot of space, but not really doing that much with it. 0-3 and 3, Jakiro's KD, I don't think is supposed to be flashy this game, but what they're supposed to have accomplished at this point is at least taking out all of the tier 1 towers. At 18 minutes in, with a farming or pseudo-farming Jakiro in the Trine lane, you'd expect that, but it's not how it's worked out this game. Keanu's farming inside the small camp right now will be spotted out by the Vortex. They might look to curse this one up. Hookshot's going to be absorbed by the Mud Golems, and Keanu, with that hookshot missing, might survive. Not with double raises in the Ice Blast. Jeez. Easy kill there, even without the hookshot coming out from Trixie. Yes, missed a couple of those, but it hasn't cost them major kills for the most part. TP's away. They want to defend this bottom lane, it seems, but they're leaving their Jakiro out to dry. Masakari is very exposed, and Trixie with that Aghanim Scepter already has another hook shot going for Raise Van inside of the Cogs. You can't really Nightmare yourself or the Clockwork here. If you Nightmare yourself, it gets taken off instantly. If you Nightmare the Clockwork, Battery Assault still kills you. They'll bring down the Pain, and now Masakari with another hook shot, another kill. In the meantime, however, in the bottom lane, they are going to lose their Wind Ranger to the burst damage coming up from the Timbersaw. He'll find himself a very nice Bloodstone charge, but it is going to be that BKB straight up for the Shadow Fiend. How do they kill him off? I just don't think they have the damage. Through BKB, they have Sonic Wave, sure. They have a little bit of right-click damage from the Queen of Pain, and they have the Bane's Fiend's Grip to keep him in place, but Fiend's Grip has a lot of ways for Finstack to cancel it. It's going to be far from reliable, at least until he gets this Glimmer Cape, which feels like miles away. And Nemphy is too tanky for them to be able to bring him down, I want to say. And from here, it can probably just go straight up DPS, or maybe something mixed like a Butterfly. Things will slow down a little bit. HeflaTV will chunk away at this tier 2 tower in the top lane. And Team Romania really don't have a great way to defend this. Maybe they can look for a deny. Bane is going to try to pull off the creep aggro and is going to go aggressively. Nightmare's up to HeflaTV, looks for the tower deny. Not going to happen. Winter Wyvern gets the destruction. Hook shot in by Trixie. Another one lands and another one dead. Ice Blast will connect and HeflaTV secures the Bane kill. On the other side of the map, Queen of Pain is going to be pushing out the mid lane, but Team Finland are just taking so many initiations, and another one! Trixie, calm down, buddy! He's gonna drop the cogs in a bit of an awkward spot, and might die to the Timber side here. Nice jump over by the Timber. Clockwork bites off more than he can chew there without having the appropriate backup. That's unfortunate for them. A lot of gold for this Jakiro, who had lost a lot of momentum, but now has Arcane Boots, and if he wants to, could pick up like full Guardian Greaves, or I think this game maybe getting a 4-staff on the Jakiro might be a little bit more attractive, or just go for a Shiva's Guard. Some sort of utility for the team. It's going to be useful. Even though losing the Clockwork is bad there for Finstack, the Shadow Fiend is still, for the most part, untouched. He's died once this game, and outside of that, he's just having a grand old time. Yeah, it's so much CS relative to the enemy team. The highest farmer on the side of Team Romania is the Timber Saw with 118 CS. Shadow Fiend has 186. Yeah, it's really just not close, and it's not their fault, of course. It's just the nature of the heroes. Shadow Fiend flash farms so swiftly. They're going to drop a word in the high ground. They spot out the Bane, and Razevan is a little bit exposed. The Flare is going to fly behind the creep wave, and the Shadow Fiend will farm up the wave, but Razevan's rotation here is completely spot out. The Shackle is going to fly, although it doesn't quite latch. They have the Winter's Curse, and Razevan will fall. They don't even need a single race to connect, and now a hook shot. Ooh, I heard it, but it looks like that was into Roshan here. He has another one in 6 seconds. Probably doesn't matter much at all. They're getting the tier 1 tower just the same, even though they don't find the fight after the Bane pickup. Fighting 4v5 is so very difficult for Team Romania, and Bane is a crucial component to their team fight, even though they have to commit a Winter's Curse for that, sure. It is quite hefty investment from Team Finland. It's worth it as long as they don't lose a couple on the retreat. Maybe they lose Boogie here. He's going to be so down by the Queen of Pain. Has the wind run. Do they have enough damage? TP out by Boogie. The Sonic Wave. He is going to die inside the base. Nemphy pops his BKB Requiem, trying to turn for synergy. Hookshot again, going to be absorbed by creeps, but still gets the cogs onto Massacre. Ice Blast will connect on this Jakiro. It's a Jakiro for Wind Ranger. This is a good trade for Team Romania, especially now that the BKB's over. Timbersaw kills him off. The Death Requiem is going to force him to use the Bloodstone Suicide. OKC, however, gets brain sapped and left alone. The only true casualty for Team Romania there is the Jakiro, as Timbersaw is able to suicide. A pretty awkward way to get the kill on the Timbersaw, or on the Shadow Fiend. When you Timber Chain through, you're going to take a lot of damage from that Death Requiem. But the angles played by this Timbersaw have been very good, especially now that he has the Blink Dagger. They're on point, and it is something that Finstack do need to respect. The amount of damage Timbersaw can pump out is, of course, no joke. Clockwork has a hook shot, and he's going to jump forward, but he's nightmared mid-cast by the Bane. I don't think I've seen that ever. And now the Fiend script, they want to turn around onto Trixie, punching him. The Undying should be able to get this kill. Poor Clockwork. You really don't expect the Bane to be farming inside your small camp there. One too many failed initiations. Of course, Clockwork's KD is great. He's had a wonderful game, 7-2-4 in general, but the last two fights have not been working out for him, and Team Romania after that are picking up a lot of momentum. The big loss with the death on the Timbersaw is the fact that he had to say goodbye to a couple of his Bloodstone charges, down to 7, which, although not a bad number, is less than where he'd like to be. Jakiro thinks about dropping that Ice Path, but the double damage rune is going to be pinged out pretty madly by the Clockwork. Picked up, or who picked that up actually? Not sure. Jekyll and Mid not going to latch. Massacre is going to be just fine, as Team Romania are now comfortable enough to go for a tower push. For the first time in a long time, they really do want to take out these T1s. Timbersaw up towards the north is going to bump into Trixie, drops him down to half HP before retreating. Tier 1 tower is going to be glyphed. And now Team Finland are on the defensive, but they find a hookshot initiation onto Massacre. He walks away from the cogs bounce back, but will die just the same. Synergy's in the middle of the fray. The Whirling Death, even with that Timber Chain missing, still kills him off. Winter's Curse is going to be thrown, but that Requiem does next to no damage to Synergy, and healed up by the Undying is still in enough amount of HP to fight. He's gonna blow up the Ancient Apparition, double kill for Synergy. And now Team Finland, they get the Jakiro, sure, but I've seen that before. It doesn't work out for them well, at least maybe not until this Shackle lands on the Queen of Pain. They're going to end the Nightmare. Bane. Now we'll find another initiation. Team Romania are going to be repelled as they take out and finish up this Tier 1 tower in the mid lane. This Timbersaws kicked it into full gear after getting that Bloodstone and Blink Dagger. My goodness. They found so many burst kills, especially in the Clockwork. These last 3 fights, Clockwork really hasn't been able to do much, if anything. Well, once was a Clockwork that was 7-0, I want to say, is now 7-3. Not bad, of course. I mean, I'll go back to it again. Clockwork's been playing the first half of this game very well, but Team Romania are doing it. Yeah, Team Finland might not be respecting this Timbersaw as much as they need to, but another issue with Team Finland's lineup is they have very limited resources to lock down this Timber. They need to make sure that a Shackle latches, or the Clockwork finds a hook shot, or the Winter's Curse is onto this Timber. And if they do that, then Queen of Pain runs around freely throughout the fights, or they don't have another way to cancel out Bane's Fiend's Grip channeling. There's just one too many heroes that need to be locked down on the side of Team Romania, which is why this game is 16-16 and so very close. If we take a look at the graphs, the advantage for Team Finland is almost not there at all on net worth and experience. It's about that same amount of advantage for Team Romania. By no means is any team convincingly ahead this game, and that's a bit exciting. This is very close. Boots of Travel up for the Timbersaw now. Great item to move around globally, and he can be anywhere at once. With Timber Chain, with Blink, with Boots of Travel, he's incredibly map mobile. Timbersaw will probably consider going for an Aghanim Scepter next with this Ogre Club, I want to say. I think Synergy's having a good enough game inside these last couple of fights to where he can consider going for the greedier item. But if he goes for a BKB, I don't think we can knock that either. Even though a lot of the lockdown coming out from Finstack does pierce Magic Community, I think that the Aghanim Scepter is the more likely of the two. Team Romania now grouping up as if they want to go for a smoke, and it's coming out in the courier now. The only one that's not here is the Timbersaw, but with those Boots of Travel can be here in spirit, even though he's not actively smoking up with the team. Radiant have no vision on the enemy side of the map. Their flare is going to be flying out towards Roshan, which could have been attempted by Team Romania, although incredibly slow. Drawings on the map, Team Romania are going to go for the smoke rotation into the enemy woods. Now let's see who they're going to find, or if they're going to find anybody at all. They're leading the charge with the Queen of Pain. She's potentially going to bump into a couple heroes from Team Finland, but they're also grouped up very heavily. This would be a big fight if it actually breaks out at all. And, well, it looks like this smoke is going to be unsuccessful. It's going to expire, the Jakiro will farm up a camp, so they've successfully smoke ganked those little wolves. But right now, at least Team Romania are playing aggressively and are able to go for these smoke rotations. Now the Radiant teams spot them out with the ward that they have placed inside their own woods, so they know that at one point they were smoking. Haste Rune picked up by the Queen of Pain, going to throw that into her bottle, as neither team have a clean way to go for these fights because of the lack of vision in general across the map. The wards of the Radiant team are good defensively, but not incredibly good at going aggressive onto the enemy side, especially when the Clockwork isn't there at all. Trixie's going to be pushing out top lane, as he probably should when you recognize that the enemy team has invaded your jungle. But here comes a Hasted Queen of Pain, yeah, Hasted Queen of Pain. I'm not seeing the particle effects, but she is in fact moving at 5-2-2 as she rotates up towards Trixie. Can't really get this kill alone, but might be able to get this kill with the help of the Timbersaw. Straight TP, Trixie. Are you gonna die? Sonic Wave, they try for it, but Timbersaw doesn't commit. A little bit of miscommunication there. If he gets the chain whirling death, I still don't think it's enough, but the chances are definitely greater. A little bit awkward there. Again, they just don't have a way to cancel TPs. And Queen of Pain might just have to go for a Scythe of Vice as her next item, even though under normal circumstances you'd look for a more defensive pickup. Maybe like a Linken's this game could be really good at stopping that Blink Winter's Curse initiation. A Scythe or Yule seems almost mandatory, so they can't make that play, even with the vast amount of bursts they have. For the most part, Team Finland can split push very liberally. Now Team Finland are going to defensively farm inside their woods. This Blink Dagger on the Winter Wyvern, I think it's a strong enough tool, and at a very good timing too for Valix. The Ancient Apparition has been picking up most of the slack when it comes to supporting items. That Team Finland could look for a smoke rotation of their own, but still the case remains that a passive game state favors them quite a lot. You have this Wind Ranger to fall back on for late game scaling, and by no means is she a slouch when it comes to her damage now, but it gets better. Especially if you get your hands on Linken's here. Although normally Linken's isn't that super impressive on Wind Ranger, this game, the initiation from Team Romania is very single target focused with the Fiend's Grip, and later down the line, when they have a Scythe of Ice on the Queen of Pain, and maybe getting a Lotus Orb on this Clockwork would be an amazing pickup. Not only does it purge off the Scythe of Ice, but it also makes it so you can't really Fiend's Grip that target, or else it just gets instantly cancelled. And it feels like that's probably one of the best defensive items they can pick up this game. But also just get a BKB for the Wind Ranger, and the damage output from Team Romania is next to nil. Probably will be a pickup down the line for her. Maybe she backs off for a Blink first? Who knows? I think a Blink Shackle could be an amazing way for Team Finland to also set the initiations. Both of his items eventually down the line will be inside her build path. Once you have BKB, Blink, and Daedalus on top of Wind Rangers already pretty stacked, item progression, that'd be awesome for them. They bump into Illusionist. The Undying is going to get cursed, but Force Staff away. He's bought himself a little bit of space. Is that enough to save his life? Ice Blast connects, and no, it's not. Clockwork isolates Massacre, and the Jakiro's going to be focus fired down. Timbersaw joins the fray. He's in the middle of everything. Will get bounced back by the Cogs as they Fiend's Grip Valix. They'll look for a Sonic Wave. It isn't going to quite connect onto Valix, and the Winter Wyvern still survives. That is until the Chakram flies. Synergy's able to mop up that one more kill. Now, Queen of Pain still kind of sticking around. If they find a good angle, there's a blink on this Timbersaw too to look for the initiation. Clockwork Hookshot going to be wide. Not going to catch Keanu. They'll blink forward. Chakram's going to be let loose. The chain isn't stellar, but Buki might still go down. Turns for a little bit of focus fire damage, but not enough. And now Trixie, in a bit of a pickle, is going to get a lot of his strength peeled off of him, but gets a hookshot on the Synergy. Long raise, and Timbersaw's forced to suicide. A 2-for-3 exchange in the favor of Finstack. Losing their Wind Ranger is, of course, unfortunate, but this Timbersaw's Bloodstone again is down to 7 charges. As well as these fights have been going for Team Romania, that one's a good one for Team Finland, and buys them a little bit more time for Shadow Fiend and Wind Ranger to farm up their items. The end tally towards either side is going to be about 1,000 gold, 1,000 experience towards Team Finland. A little bit more XP, a little bit less gold, but in that ballpark. Well, Team Finland, I think they're going to be pretty comfortable with the current game state. Although that Winter's Curse was not necessarily the one they wanted on the Undying, of course you'd rather use it to kill off the likes of Queen of Pain. Queen of Pain's effective items at this point are very limited. Ooh, top lane. They're going to look for this kill on Trixie, and they're probably going to find it. Just a right-click damage from the Timbersaw is enough. Trixie will evade getting killed, and Timbersaw has to bail. Ooh, a close call for Trixie, but as I was saying, Queen of Pain hasn't invested her items. She's sitting on 5,000 gold, and it looks like she is going to just straight up buy the Scythe of Vice. An amazing leap in power for Keanu this game. But since she hasn't had the items even building up towards the Scythe of Vice for a long time, her impact inside these engagements has been a lot less than maybe it could have been, and maybe it will be, inside the next couple of fights. Now with that Blink Hex initiation, I think Team Romania will be a lot more confident in going for pushes, but with that Butterfly and Shadow Fiend, I don't think you can kill off Nymphy. Even when he's not on Strength Treads, he has 1600 HP. Once he pops the BKB, there's no way that you're able to bring him down. Once the BKB expires, however, the damage output is absurd with the Timbersaw, and the BKB has been used a couple of times by the Shadow Fiend. It's down to 7, not looking all too healthy for Team Finland. Gem of True Sight now from Team Finland. Looks like they're going to start getting a little bit more aggressive as they try to deny the map control away from Team Romania, which is so important when you have this draft from Team Romania. They have a lot of very mobile heroes that can jump you from a long range, but you kind of need it to be a surprise because they don't have a great way to keep people in place. BKB's up for the Timbersaw. Because that last engagement didn't go super well for the Timber, I think that's the reason why he goes for this BKB now. It's a lot better to just rely on having the one Chakram, the natural mana burst he has, which is super high, and be able to get that off with the 10-second magic immunity, than getting shackled with an axe. Fair enough, fair enough. Still, Team Finstack are very defensively postured on their map. I think they need to go for a smoke yank, or at least find some sort of pickoff in order to go for this. But speaking of pickoffs, it's going to be onto Boogie. She's obliterated! Or he, I guess Boogie, but the Wind Ranger is destroyed. Team Romania really showing their power, but here with the Winter's Curse and Keanu, can they bring down this Queen of Pain? The focus fire isn't on her. Well, I mean, focus fire. The Wind Ranger is dead, but the focus damage from the Shadow Fiend, as Dempsey was a little too far away, even with the Blink Dagger, can't quite get in range. That is a big victory for Team Romania. Not even just getting the Wind Ranger, but also, without the Winter's Curse, it's so much harder for Team Finland to take the fight, although the Shadow Fiend is just swaggering up towards their ranks, has that BKB ready, and really does want to pick an engagement now. Radiant Vision on the Queen of Pain. They are going to spot her out in just a second. No, they don't have Sentry Vision. Excuse me. No, with this Invisor and Queen of Pain's actually stalking Trixie. By herself, I don't think the Queen of Pain can get this kill. She's going to throw a Shadow Strike and throw a Side Device. The Timbersaw is coming in quickly with the Blink Dagger. He's going to be able to throw out the Chakram, going up to the high ground. He misses the Timber Chain, gets bumped back down the low ground. That's a really nice cogs coming out from Trixie. That was close, though. And another skate with death for this Clockwork. 8-3 and 6. Clockwork still having a very good game. But Finstack haven't been the ones controlling his engagements. It's been Team Romania to go for plays like that. I really didn't think the Timbersaw would be able to get in range that swiftly, but with the Blink and Timber Chain, I guess I just underestimated his amount of mobility, even though I've talked about it so much. They're going to go into Roshan. This is an incredibly slow Roshan, but with the medallion and with the attack speed slow, they can, in theory, do it, but not fast enough and not before Finstack react. It's such a dangerous fight for both of these teams to take inside close quarters. Timbersaw, Jakiro love to have heroes stuck so close together, and so do Ancient Apparition, Winter Wyvern, Clockwork, heck, everybody inside this game. It really does enjoy taking such enclosed fights, and really it is just the pressure on both of these teams to find those engagements where they're inside close quarters and are able to capitalize off of that with either like a good Ice Path or a good Winter's Curse, a Fiend's Grip opportunity. Now Smoke, Team Romania are the ones to, or actually, they're not Smoke. They have one delivered for the side of Team Finland, and it looks like they're the first ones to pull this Smoke trigger. The game plan for both of these teams should be about the same. Break the status quo by finding an engagement, and it looks like they're going to try to do that in mid. Winter Wyvern's leading the charge, has a Gem, Glimmer, and Blink Dagger, but Team Romania have the high ground advantage. Jakiro's around the corner, but it looks like Team Finland want to go into this Roshan pit. For now, Dire have some vision around this area, and it looks like Valks is going to deny that away from them. I think they have a reasonable idea of where everybody's smoked. They walk out of the Roshan pit, and instead outside as they take out that D-Ward and just farm up inside their woods. Smoke unsuccessful from Team Finland. Now I think it's Team Romania's turn. They have a Shiva's, or in the works for the Timbersaw, I should say. Maybe a Lotus Sword for him is not bad either. My goodness, the amount of single target initiation for both teams is pretty absurd. Trixie is going to bump into the Jakiro. Massacre is very isolated from the rest of his team. Hasted Clockwork chasing him down. This is going to be a kill. Jakiro is going to die sooner rather than later. Clockwork with the battery assault will secure it. Now looking for another hook shot. Might as well try. There's nobody there, of course, but he doesn't know that. The map is mostly dark for Team Finland. The only ward that they've placed down, or the only wards, I should say, one around the Roshan pit and one up in the top lane. And Queen of Pain has already showed herself to the creep wave anyway. Hasted, Team Finland are going to be around this bottom rune spot. It's an invis for them. Maybe that's going to set up a kill. The Clockwork is going to meander up towards the high ground as the rest of them go into the Roshan pit. Chakram is going to be thrown into this pit, doing a good amount of damage to Nemphy. Cold Feet, however, proccing, and the damage from Windranger and Shadow Fiend is more than enough to take out this Roche. They're going to pop the Undying. He's going to be ulted up onto the high ground. The Aegis will go towards the Timbersaw and the Roshan kill. Ridiculous for them, but Queen of Pain dies. Is this fight even worth it? They bring down the Shadow Fiend, sure, but Timbersaw needs to do a lot with this second life. Synergy is going to try to chase. It's a pretty hard sell, the hook shot away, but now he finds Valix. We'll be able to bring him down. Gem of True Sight on the deck. Monster kill for this Timber. He has actually died to the enemy team for the longest of times, although has been forced to suicide a couple of times. Timbersaw chasing as the blink, has the Chakram whirling death onto both of them. The chain over the top is going to be interrupted by the battery assault, but still might be able to get Trixie bounced back by the cogs. TP attempt by the Clockwork is going to succeed because he can't quite find the angle onto those trees. Really just need a little bit more mana or a faster blink cooldown respawn or something. Not cooldown respawn, but you get the picture. If he had Nocturne, maybe he gets that kill. Team Romania have successfully denied the Roshan away from the enemy side. That was not actually a Roshan steal. That was them getting the last hit and the Aegis. Of course, Synergy is going to be forced to spend that immediately after the fact, but it's really going to slow down this game more. The advantage will go towards Team Romania inside that fight, especially the Timbersaw has a lot of gold towards whatever that plate mail is going to be upgraded in towards. But I don't think this gets Team Romania much closer towards being able to push high ground. One of their biggest issues is their high ground sieging is just very lackluster. Of course, this burst damage is incredible at killing off heroes, but I think they kind of need an Assault Cuirass on this Queen of Pain. Or maybe even a Desolator, I'm not sure. Even then, Queen of Pain has to be so very careful. Team Finland are getting those items up. They're going to make it very difficult for her to survive, especially the Blink Dagger on the Winter Wyvern. But in mid lane, Trixie is going to get Chakram scythed up. The Queen of Pain has a Sonic Wave. We'll throw that his way, and the Clockwork will fall sooner rather than later. Queen of Pain with the Shadow Strike will secure it. Clockwork just pushing a little too aggressively. They'll get a Shackle Latch, but up towards top. Shadow Fiend is going to be denied that kill on the Jakiro by the TP away, but Synergy is still going ham. There's a BKB on this Wind Ranger. Maybe just forcing that would be awesome for it, but for the Timber, I mean, for Team Romania. But it probably it wouldn't be enough to kill her, of course. But forcing out that 10-second magic immunity is huge. Timbersaw can play so aggressively right now since he has a BKB of his own. He's only used it once and is still at 9 seconds. He's a monster. And he is going to have that Shiva's Guard very quickly after this tower dies. Although not quite enough gold yet. Give him a creep or two inside the jungle and he'll have it. He's going to TP back, needs to deal with the Shadow Fiend split push. TP will succeed, and now it's going to bump into the SF. Chaining forward, this Timbersaw is going to pursue. Although with the Chakra missing, I think Nemphy should be able to survive. BKB TP, and he is fine. BKB might not have been 100% necessary, but he had to go for that because he didn't know where the rest of the team was. If we take a look at the Radiance Vision, they didn't know who was around that corner, and if there's a Jakiro there to cancel his TP with an Ice Path, you're going to be feeling so bad as a Shadow Fiend. Better safe than sorry, especially since his BKB is already so low in duration. I think it was 6 seconds when he popped it, so that was his last remaining longer than 5-second charge, but still, again, better safe than sorry. He's going to have it in another 30 seconds, which is just fine. But this SF is really starting to pick up the damage output. Shadow Fiend's going straight for a Daedalus now, after having the Butterfly. Maybe he gets Lifesteal to replace his TP scroll instead of fully committing for the Daedalus, but regardless, Nemphy is critting like a champ. And the Wind Ranger also is really going to get a lot of right-click DPS after her next couple of items. The BKB still at 10 seconds. And Team Finland, it feels like they've gotten over the worst of it from Team Romania. The Queen of Pain is going to be going presumably towards that Assault Cuirass I was talking about. It's a more popular item of Queen of Pain now than it once was. It's one of the greatest ways to transition into a right-click core that still has a good amount of utility for the team, just by nature of her surviving. And Finstack do rely very heavily on their physical damage from the Shadow Fiend in order to bring her down. It's pretty good. And another good high ground pushing item is this Pipe. Now, not seen very often, but Pipe is almost mandatory if you want to keep your creep waves alive from the Shadow Fiend's raises. Pop the Pipe block on them. I'm not 100% sure if the aura works on creeps. I think it was changed to where it does, but it used to not work. We'll have to see. But regardless, it's going to be very useful, so Nemphy's just not able to raise it once or twice, and then a power shot from the Wind Ranger to mop it all up. At least gives Romania the chance of ending this game, but it could go either way. Shivas is online for the Timbersaw, and I think that rounds out most of our major item progression this game. Although Trixie is going to be very close to having whatever that ultimate orb is going to be completed soon. A Scythe for him would be amazing. 4-step Scythe initiation would fix a lot of, their lack of initiating rolls, but also the Lincoln Sphere would probably be a little bit better for sieging high ground. Put that in the Shadow Fiend, put that in the Wind Ranger, and just let him go to town on the tower. Roshan's going to respawn in 5 minutes, 20 seconds. A fairly long respawn timer, actually. Not max, but more than the average, of course. Queen of Pain posturing aggressively. Almost has the gold for that Assault Cuirass, but up towards top lane. Clockwork's going to get into a scuffle with Mascari. 4-step into the cogs. Mascari has the Ice Path and will connect, but he does not have that great amount of follow-up. Hookshot to the creep wave. They can't get in range for the Fiend's Grip, and with it, Clockwork will TP safely home. Shadow Fiend going to be flying out of TP towards himself. What's the buyback situation for both of these teams, I wonder? Not looking too great. Not looking too great. One on the Wind Ranger, one on the Queen of Pain. Or, not on the Wind Ranger anymore. She buys out for the Blink Dagger. Fair enough. It is a great item to have on your Wind Ranger. But might leave them a little bit vulnerable because both the Wind Ranger and the Shadow Fiend don't have that second life. So if this next fight goes poorly, maybe it doesn't work out for them, but I don't really think this next fight's going to go poorly, I'll be honest. With a 10-second BKB on Wind Ranger, I think she can afford the luxury of going without buyback, even though it is 44 minutes into the game. Pretty much a kill a minute. Just under that as the Assault Cuirass is finished up by the Queen of Pain. Such a passive farming state inside this match, as we're just waiting for that next Roshan. The Radiant team have better ways to scout it out. Ancient Persian ulti, Clockwork Flare, Icy Vortex, even long-range power shots to catch a glimpse of vision, whereas Team Romania not so much are going to have to do that manually. Ice Path does give a little bit of flying vision there if Jakiro's around the pit, but it has to be a lot closer than like the global scouting of the Clockwork's Flare, which is an absolutely amazing utility tool to have at your side. Both of these teams are just going to try to keep these lanes pushed out as much as possible. Not a lot to talk about, really, at this stage in the game. It is just kind of a waiting period. Unless somebody gets caught out, of course. But I don't think that's going to happen. They're so defensively postured that even if Clockwork finds a hook shot, the backup to the tier 2 tower might be a little too late, and he can't go in knowing that, or not knowing what's behind them. The ward vision from either side is incredibly defensive and supports this passive farming state of the game, but up in top lane, maybe Trixie's in a bit of trouble here. He is going to be exposed to the creep wave as Shakiro, Bane, and Undying are waiting a little bit further up the lane. But they don't decide to go on into him because they don't know where Finland are. Or Team Finland, rather. I'm sure they know where Finland is on a map. Yep, it really is so dark. Both teams are operating with about 50-50 vision, and that's just not enough to secure your eyes on, especially the Shadow Fiend has been power farming through the woods. His Queen of Pain disconnects, as if we needed another thing to slow down this game. Now we're at a screeching halt. Take a second to take a drink. Be back in just a little bit. Oh, welcome back. You didn't really miss much of anything. Queen of Pain is going to reconnect back into the game. Sorry for the awkward silence there. Was catching up on Skype to make sure that everything's going all right behind the scenes. There's a bit of a situation at the game show where we just don't have enough casters. There's so many good games going on right now, and not enough casters to cover them. Clockwork is going to answer that question about his impression as they blink up top onto the Wind Ranger. What a terrible time to DC. Well. At least the Fiend's Grip sound isn't going to be eternal, but that TP is. Boogie, I hate to break it to you, but I think you are probably dead. The Fiend's Grip should be enough for them to be able to get this kill, with Wind Ranger just not being in any situation to be able to defend herself. Their boots are traveling in with the Timber Saw, and this should be a lot of damage going his way. They'll drop the Macro Pyre, and she's blown sky high. The Wind Ranger will die, giving Synergy a godlike spree. Timbersaw's denied himself at least twice this game, 9, 4, and 6. He's feeling really good about how he's been playing this game, especially considering how quickly the Clockwork started out. They're pretty much on par with each other when it comes to their KDs, but Timbersaw vastly has the advantage when it comes to his gold. He's going to be propelled very swiftly towards his next major item. Scythe of Vice, Aghanim Scepter, Octarine all get special mention here for the Timbersaw. And that really is just up to personal preference what one he goes for. I quite like the Aghanim Scepter this game. The only thing that's scarier than the one chakram damage is second chakram, really. Synergy's doing so much DPS that it's really carrying them through this game, even though they don't have a traditional scaler. Now into the base, he's gonna dive onto Trixie. Hookshot into a creep wave a little bit behind him. Winter's Curse onto the Timbersaw, but 4 staff away, the Requiem does next to nothing. He's able to pop his BKB. Still, Synergy is dropping pretty low to the right click damage coming out from Nymphy, but not low enough. And now he's healing up quite a bit with reactive armor. He's going into the base. Nymphy's locked down onto the ground. The chain through him. Nymphy will fall. And that's going to be a beyond godlike for Synergy. Just like that, in a couple of seconds, Team Romania found themselves such a nice advantage in this game. There is no buyback in the Wind Ranger. Clockwork is falling down towards bottom lane to the Queen of Pain with a double damage rune. The focus fire is going to be there, but the shackle doesn't latch, so Kiana's able to blink out, and they get the buyback from the Shadow Fiend. Team Romania's tower pushing power is very limited, although Liquid Fire is amazing early for constant chip, and it is good at keeping your creep waves alive because of a reduced attack speed on the tower. Like, look how sad that tower is as slowly as it attacks onto this Timbersaw. Now that it expires, it'll be able to pick up the momentum again, but still Synergy's able to tank it outright. Their damage, unless the Queen of Pain's there hitting the tower, is very limited. Looks like Wind Ranger shot another power shot the way of Queen of Pain, but isn't going to be lethal. And now they start working the melee barracks. They get Fiend's Grip on Nempi. If he dies here, it could all be over. Ice Bat to follow up, and he will go down for about 2 minutes. Team Romania are doing it with a draft that I really didn't think would be able to take it this late. They'll start chipping down the melee barracks as Synergy's just going ham. 14 Bloodstone charges, as he'll add another to his collection by killing off the Ancient Apparition. And now looking for Buki. The Wind Ranger is going to be forced to be glimmered back next to her tier 4. Synergy has no fear here. 16 charges to reactive armor. They'll get a Nightmare onto the Wind Rangers. That melee barracks finally goes down. It's a slow push from Team Romania, but there's nothing to stop them. They'll shackle the Timbersaw to a tree. Very awkward angle as he's 4-stepped out and stretches it out at almost a 90-degree angle. But they get the racks, and now they're going to go for more because the Shadow Fiend just isn't there. Queen of Pain is still very low, but Timbersaw's going ham. Winter Wyvern will hit the deck. Ooh, I really underestimated how scary a late game Timber could be. Synergy's having a beast of a game. He'll kill off the Clockwork, and now look for more. He pops his BKB. BKB by Boogie means that this Chakram isn't doing anything towards him. I can't kill off Illusionist as the melee barracks down towards bottom will fall. Ice Blast will fly, but even if they kill off Synergy, his respawn time is going to be so quick. He goes into the base and chains out. Synergy is going to be shackled, but force-staffed away, glimmered away. The supports are going to make it so difficult for them to kill off this Timber, especially with the Sonic Wave connecting. Keanu getting the killing spree. Team Romania get the full barracks in the bottom lane. It looks like they've made this game. Timberside again, in and out of the well. This is so rude. Poor OKC. He's gonna die. GG's called as he just gives them a gem to their base, but he still has a Basher. My goodness. Basher Timbersaw, 100% win rate. Buy it every game to win your game. Synergy was really the star of the show by the end of that. A little bit of a pause to ruin the momentum there as we had a couple of DCs, but Team Finland, after just one dieback on the Shadow Fiend, that's all that it takes for Team Romania to win the game. And that's just how fragile late game situations in Dota are. Even though I thought Team Finland would have an innate advantage with their heroes, it never ended up happening, especially the Wind Ranger. Wasn't able to keep up the farming momentum that game. There wasn't a lot of space because all of the available space was given to the Shadow Fiend, and granted, Nempi was huge, but not quite big enough. The Shadow Fiend, all it took was one death, really. Team Romania will come in with a game 1 victory, looking solid in this best of 3. We'll move on to game number 2 in just a minute. See you later, guys. But before I go, I'll just remind you all that inside the Hitbox chat, there is a giveaway for a £3, I believe. Or not £3, but €3 gift card for G2A. So if you're interested in that, vote on who do you think will win this series. And right now, Team Romania are looking solid. See you later, guys, for game number 2 coming up next.